Welcome to my renovation here on Iris Street. My name's Adam, and this is the 81st week. This week is all about putting up this wall that's going to be in the bar downstairs. You can see there's a bunch of receptacles for countertop height outlets, as well as this 8-3 wire to support an oven downstairs. This is a big week for the bar area, so without further ado, let's see everything that happens. Now that I've got my workspace set up again, and all my server equipment wired back up, and all my computer hardware connected, I can actually get back to the project of relocating one of these HVAC ducts downstairs that's been in the way. This 6-inch supply run can be neatly tucked into that joist cavity, with the exception of that final couple of feet on the west end. I think my HVAC contractors just didn't want to put things up into that joist cavity, but there's plenty of room and it's going to make this whole area a lot tidier. This will eventually become the bar for the home theater, so the ability to have cabinets that go all the way to the ceiling is going to be really nice. After work on Thursday, Joe and I decided to try out a new trail system just outside of Boulder. This is the South Mesa trail system, and we were in for a lot more vertical feet than we expected. However, this is great training for our ultra coming up in September, and the views were absolutely spectacular. It's always really nice when you can find a trail system that's close by, that has a lot of vertical feet for elevation training, and when the views are spectacular too, that never hurts. Mike and I are down at the Superior Lowe's, and apparently they're closing this store. Everything but lumber is 50% off, so we're gonna see what else we can find today. So far we've got some insulation and just a few lights. Let's see. Well, after an hour and a half, we ended up getting some insulation, 15 gallons of primer, and a whole bunch of lights and tools and all kinds of stuff. After a longer than expected trip at the Superior Lowe's to browse their store closing inventory, it's back to the basement bar wall. In order to prep the floor for installing the wall, I have to grind down part of this concrete patch that was done by Complete Basement Systems. They could have done a little bit better job of getting it level, especially since there's going to be a finished floor over this concrete, so I took the time to grind it down and make it perfectly level. I could have put up more protective plastic too, because this concrete dust gets everywhere. Fortunately, I was wearing my personal protective equipment, a respirator, hearing protection, and goggles, but the dust still got a lot into this gym area, so I spent probably an hour or two just vacuuming and dusting and wiping things down. It coated everything, and so for better or worse, I learned my lesson about blocking things off when you're grinding down concrete. With the room properly prepared for installing this wall, I can get down to the big work of actually installing it. Before I do any framing, I put some blocking on the ceiling and then start laying out my top plates and my bottom plates. Of course, that bottom plate has to be pressure treated lumber since it'll be in contact with the floor. And then from there, I'm just doing simple 16-inch on-center framing. This is one of the easiest walls I've done, and fortunately, that C-channel is just high enough and low enough that I can get a double top and bottom plate on this entire wall. I anchor it to the bottom with bolts and to the top with lag bolts, and this thing's not going anywhere. Again, you can see me putting in those concrete anchor bolts, and I put in some 4-inch ones just to really anchor it down to my pad. I also fill in this doorway that'll no longer be used because it'll be part of the home theater wall, and it's just going to be easier to block it and frame it in now than to do it down the road because I'll have to put drywall in this entire bar area. So I'm just framing out that part of the wall so it's ready to go for drywall. Next, I'm adding in this 8-3 wire. It's on a 40 amp circuit, and this is to support an electric oven downstairs. In fact, with this 40 amp circuit and this 8-3 wire, I could technically do a double oven system. I've looked at a couple of ovens and their electric requirements, and so I just wanted to make sure that was roughed in case I decide to pull the trigger on that. I'm also adding in a couple of more receptacle circuits that are just 120 volt with 12-2 wire. These are your standard receptacles, but of course those breakers are AFCI, GFCI breakers because this will technically be a bar-kitchen area. Really future-proofing everything and taking up those final 2 slots in my load center in the garage. So this electrical is going really nicely. I've been using my laser level to drill perfectly straight holes, and you'll see it when I run this 8-3 wire through in a second. Look how straight and beautiful that makes everything. So this is one of those things that the more I do it, I get better at it. After I get some of this wire run down here, I wire this up to my load center in the garage. Of course, everything has to go through conduit from the load center to downstairs. So you can see those top 2 are 12-2 wire, and that bottom one is my big 8-3 wire for the oven. After a little bit of cleanup, you can see this bar area is really starting to come together, especially framing and rough-in wise. On Sunday, I head back out to Marshall Mesa to do my usual 14-mile loop with Joe, but on this particular day, we tack on an additional 4 miles, and it was absolutely beautiful weather. On Monday, I'm out in brush to watch my nieces play, so I get one of my favorite 9-mile loops in on Monday just to keep that weekly mileage up. This is out by my parents' house, and I love running out here. On Monday after work, my niece Lila had her play, Alice in Wonderland, and this is actually my first time checking out the new Brush High School, so this is their fancy new auditorium. Their play was really fun, everyone did really well, and my sister's actually taught math here for 2 years. This is my first time checking out the building, so we got a really brief tour. This is the main gymnasium. I actually have a Jumbotron TV on the ceiling. The cafeteria has TVs, really nice big tall ceilings, and even the outside looks really nice. So it was cool seeing my nieces play and seeing a bit of the new high school. The week ends rather simply back in the bar area downstairs where I wire up a few more of those countertop height receptacles. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back for week 82.